Hello and welcome back to Explain USA, where we break down complex topics using the source material itself. Today, we're tackling the US-Iran conflict, but we're looking at it through a pretty wild lens. Our source asks a provocative question. Is this a strategic battle? Or is it, as they put it, a battle of clowns? Okay, so let's just dive right into that central claim. I mean, think about it. The source isn't just criticizing the conflict. They're calling it a battle of clowns. That's not just a criticism, that's framing the entire thing as a complete circus. It's a really bold assertion, right? It suggests the whole operation, from the planning to the actual fighting, is being run by, well, you get the picture. So why on earth would they use a label like that? I mean, we're talking about the world's most powerful military here. Well, according to our source, it all starts with the complete mess of inconsistencies and constantly changing goals that have pretty much defined this thing from the get-go. It's like a giant puzzle of mixed messages and really, really unclear objectives. All right, section 1, a web of lies and shifting goals. And the first piece of this puzzle, it's a pretty basic one. According to the source, there's a huge disagreement on whether the two sides are even, talking. And right there, when you can't even agree on that, the whole story starts to fall apart. And check this out. You've got President Trump saying they're begging for a deal. That's the claim. But then you have Iran's reality, where their foreign ministry is basically saying, no, we haven't had any direct talks for over a month. So which is it? It's a total contradiction, right out of the gate. And then you get this really aggressive tone from the White House. The press secretary comes out with this threat. Leaders who lied to the United States are no longer on planet Earth. Whoa. The source points this out as, well, you can't really negotiate in good faith when one side is basically threatening to kill the other, right? It just adds to the chaos. So with everyone totally confused, Senator Marco Rubio steps in to try and clear things up. And he literally tells people to take notes on these 4 official war goals. It's like he's saying, okay, everyone, settle down, class is in session. This is the real plan. Forget all that other stuff you heard. But, and this is a big but, our source immediately points out all the stuff that's suddenly missing from this official list. Like what happened to seizing Iranian oil? Hello? Nuclear disarmament, regime change, and maybe the most important one, what about reopening the Strait of Hormuz? It's like these major goals just vanished into thin air. The strategy just keeps changing. Okay, moving on. Section 2, Iran's shocking precision. We're gonna shift gears now away from all the words and political talk and onto the actual battlefield. Because according to our source, this is where the story of American military might, well, it took a really big and very unexpected hit. So get this. Iran launches this precision strike on the Prince Sultan Air Base, and it apparently just stuns the US military. We're not talking about random rockets here. The source says this was a methodical attack that took out the absolute backbone of America's air operations in the area. This wasn't just an attack, it was a game changer. First up, they hit an E-3 Sentry. Think of this plane as the eyes in the sky. It's the quarterback, tracking everything and coordinating attacks. So when you take it out, you've basically blinded the entire operation. Next, they went after the KC-135 tankers. These are literally just flying gas stations for those super expensive fighter jets. Without them, those jets can't stay in the air for long. Their range is crippled and they're effectively grounded. And then there's this one, which really shows you how strategic this was. They damaged an EC-130H compass call. This is a super high-tech plane. Its whole job is to jam enemy communications, to make the enemy deaf and blind. And now, the jammer itself is silenced. The source points out the irony here, and yeah, it's pretty thick. And here's why that hit was so huge. Look at this number, 5. That's it. The US only has 5 of these planes in its entire operational fleet. So losing even one of them, that is a devastating blow to their power in the region. All right, section 3, profits, politics, and personalities. So beyond the actual fighting, our source claims this whole thing is being fueled by personal interests and, honestly, some really weird plans. This is where that battle of clowns idea really starts to click into place. This table from the source lays out some of the, let's call them side quests. You've got allegations of war profiteering, where a broker invested in defense stocks right before things kicked off. You've got personal vanity, like banning photographers for taking unflattering pictures. But the wildest one?
the alleged plan from Trump to send troops in with shovels to literally dig up and steal uranium. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Okay, but behind the bizarre plans and the shifting goals, the source makes it very clear that there are real devastating consequences. This isn't some kind of game. Section 4 is about the true cost of this circus, the human and economic fallout. Let's start with this number, 100,000. According to the source, that's roughly how many civilian infrastructure sites in Iran have been hit. And we're not just talking about military bases. We're talking schools, universities, what the source describes as indiscriminate bombing. And the human cost is just staggering. An estimated 2,000 civilians killed, 200 of them were children. These are the numbers that often get completely lost in all the political back and forth. At the same time, the economic shockwaves are starting to spread. The source points to models predicting oil could hit $200 a barrel. If that happens, it's not just a number on a screen. That means global inflation, and it's something that would hit every single one of us in the wallet. So that brings us to our final section, the unwinnable endgame. We're going to look at the political blowback at home and how all this chaos is shifting the balance of power around the world. Because it really seems like there's no way to win this. This war has been incredibly unpopular back home. The polls cited in our source show President Trump's approval rating plummeting to negative 17%. To put that in perspective, that's supposedly the lowest for any president in modern American history. People are not happy, and protests are growing. And all that political pressure at home creates this weird situation. Our source calls it a Pyrrhic victory for Iran. It's one of those victories that costs you so much, it's basically a defeat. But in this case, it means if the US is forced to pull out without achieving any of its goals, the whole world sees it as a win for Iran and a major loss for America. So while the US is stuck in this mess, who's actually winning? Well, the source concludes that it's America's rivals. Countries like China and Russia are just sitting back, watching the US get distracted and weakened. They're benefiting from the high oil prices and using the opportunity to grow their own influence in the Middle East. They're the unseen winners in all this. Which leaves us with this final big question from our source material. In a war with no clear goals and no clear winner, who really benefits from all the chaos?
If you like informative videos, then subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.